And I think more students will probably slowly trickle in later on, but we can just get started first. And first, I want to welcome everyone, the panelists and the students. I know it's a very tough time for everyone, and we're all hanging in there. And today, our speaker, the first one is Thomas Manavi. He is a QA engineer at Facebook. So Thomas, if you can just say hi to everyone.
Hello.
Yeah. And then the second is Ostash Mohe. It's a staff verification engineer at Qualcomm.
Yep. Hi, guys.
And then the third speaker is Konark Vyas. Hope I said it right. It's a senior solution architect at Ericsson.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So they're gonna just begin sharing some of their own experience, and then later on, you guys can feel free to unmute yourself to ask questions or type your question in the chat box, and I can just read it out loud, and each of you can just take turn to answer it, or if you feel something that you're very strongly you have a strong feeling about it, just jump in and it's like a very casual chat, so don't just hop in anytime and don't feel worry about saying the wrong thing or anything like that. So without further ado, maybe we can start with Thomas, if you can just share your experience.
Sure. So can't believe it's almost it's more than 10 years, but it feels like yesterday. It doesn't feel that long. And yeah, so 2007 is when I joined as a master's student in electrical engineering, and I was ready to graduate kind of by 2008. And towards the end of 2008 is when I kind of getting a pulse of the economy and started hearing from everybody that the economy was going down and it's going bad. So I was talking to a lot of my friends, and some of them thought, okay, let's delay the graduation. Let's keep one more semester. And then some others, on the other hand, said, okay, I'm pretty much done with my course. I just want to get a job somehow. I'll graduate and get out. So I fell into the former category and thought, okay, I'll delay my graduation. So in 2008 fall, I ended up taking a couple of courses which were, in a sense, sort of pushing the graduation date to the next year, 2010 spring. Sorry, 2009 spring. And I graduated in May 2009. And at that time, economy further nosedived. So it was pretty bad. Looking back, it was a time of struggle. We were all applying for jobs, and many of my friends were, some of them got jobs, many of them didn't. And I also had friends who actually, because we were on, I was an international student, and we were on F1 visas, and our visas were also having this restriction. So within 60 or 90 days, you had to find some or the other job that was qualifying or falling into that category, which would get approved. So we were all looking for jobs. Some of them some of us who didn't find actually decided to go back to our home countries. I kind of looked around, didn't find anything, and then finally, I got an opportunity with one of the professors to help him with his coursework. And at that time, myself, and Ashutosh were actually, working for the same professor. So it's been 10 years, and I can remember everything.
Yeah.
Good memories when we got to help professor. This was an EE course, and then that too ended after some time, and I was still without a job. And then at some point, I remember getting into a panic mode, because I think there was a 60 or a 90-day limit within which, if you don't find a job, you have to kind of leave the country or something like that. So at that point, I started emailing to pretty much any company that I could get hold of. And there was one company that responded, and he said, the person who responded said, it's not going to be a, it's not going to be like a paid position or anything. It was an unpaid position. And I decided to pick that up because it would, for one thing, keep me going. And the second thing, it could actually stay a little longer on my visa with that. So that went on. I started going to that, and it was more of like an internship with a company in LA, unpaid internship. And that went on for 3 months. It went on till October 2009, I believe. And October 2009, or close to November, is when I got a call from one of the staffing companies. I didn't get a call from the company directly, but from a staffing company looking for a position with Qualcomm in San Diego. And I attended the interview, and that went through. Fortunately, I got picked up and joined in 2009 as a temp, as a contract worker at Qualcomm. And then that was the first step I could actually get in a positive direction. And then after 6 months or so, I got rolled over, and then and since then I was with Qualcomm for a while as a FTE. So from the point I graduated, it was May 2009 until I actually became a permanent employee was almost under a year. So April 2010 is when I became a full-time employee at Qualcomm. So it was a tough journey. During the time, I did get some interviews with other companies. Before that, even during, after graduation, um, you know, I did get interviews with companies, but they were all kind of turning down, or, some of the other didn't really go through. So it was a tough time. I didn't have any situation where I had an offer and then got rescinded. But looking back, some of the things that actually helped me was, have some kind of like a routine. So as long as I was busy with the coursework, with helping one of the professors, it went well. I was busy, I had stuff to do. But the point when that was also done and completed, I was on my own. So at that point, kind of getting into routine really helped. So, I would come to the library, do some, revision of the coursework, and major part of the day would be just applying for jobs. I'm sure a lot of the other folks can also relate to that. Um, yeah, and the other thing is, staying positive and staying resilient. Never give up. I think that those are the things that I can think of.
Thank you, Thomas, for sharing. Next, we can have Akash, if you can share your own experience.
So, as Thomas said, similar to Thomas, I was actually in the same batch, and we did share a lot of courses also, and we did work with the professor. So similar to when this time in 2008,
it's a Zoom call with people.
I tried to extend my as Thomas said, in December 2008, I actually could graduate, but I tried to extend my graduation. So, but in the meantime, I also applied for a lot of internships. So out of them, I think the internships were for spring 2009, and I would graduate in May 2009. So luckily for me, I got picked up in Qualcomm's internship program for spring, and that actually did help me, give me a sense of confidence, first of all. And the next thing was, obviously because of the recession and everything, they couldn't convert that position to a full time. So after the internship got over, I actually came back to USC, and so Thomas and me worked with the professor. We actually developed labs for the course 560, and that actually helped me. It kept me busy. At the same time, we kept on applying for new jobs and everything. So finally, it took me almost a year. So I actually started full-time position at Freescale, and that was in June 2010. So it took at least a year from the time I graduated to time I finally landed at the position. And meantime, between that 1 year gap, we the main thing, as Thomas said, we try to keep ourselves busy. We try to pick up something new language or something which is current in the industry trend. Try to revise on your coursework. The way to keep your visas running. So what happened to me was, once we finished the summer internship or the summer teacher, the summer job with professor, uh, I actually moved to San Jose with my friends. So a couple of my friends had moved to the Bay Area, and they were actually working on internships and things like that. So I actually moved in with one of my friends to Bay Area, and I started applying jobs in the Bay Area. And that would be my morning, like, apply jobs and see. Luckily for me, I I joined a small company which was doing some FPGA bring up. It was working with Cadence. It was a very small company. There's like 3 or 4 of us, but it actually paid my at least paid my rent. So it was $10 per hour internship sort of, but it kept my visa going. It actually also gave me a lot of experience. So from August 2009 till almost some from some sorry from September, yes, oh sorry, September 2009 to almost May 2010, I worked in that company, and it actually helped me a lot. It was irrelevant to my position. I was doing FPGA kind of work, and it, it kept me motivated to keep on applying and finding things for full time. But yeah, it took a while. It took till June 2010 to finally land upon a position. But it was a struggle. As Thomas said, 1 year, it's a difficult time. There are a lot of things going on to your head, like when will things improve? I would say a couple of things from my perspective is knowledge which you gained at USC is really helpful. It will help you in your to do internships. It will help you in your work in future prospects also. You should not give up. Try to keep, as is Thomas also said, keep a routine. Try to keep on applying, as well as see what can be done in the meantime, what skills you can pick up. Use your network, your friends. My friends helped me to move to Bay Area, and they helped me for the 5-6 months where I struggled. So that's what I will say, and never lose hope. So I know visa situations makes it difficult, but if you can find relevant contacts, get a small internship, even if it's not paid or unpaid. If you can get the experience, that experience will help you as soon as things pick up. So I noticed that as soon as in May 2010, my resume was getting picked up by multiple companies just because of the internship experience and other experience that I gained within that 1 year. So that's how.
Thank you, Astarsh. Okay, Konark, if you can share your experience.
Yes, so even I have similar set of experiences around the same time frame. So basically, mine is shifted by 4 months. So that being said, I landed at USC in January 2008, and I was majoring in communication systems. At least that's what it used to be called in the day. And there are a lot of prerequisites. So in order to finish and get some core communication classes so that I can seek an internship somewhere, I had to do a lot of prereq. Because of which, what happened is, I took 3 courses in the spring semester. That's my first. And I took 2 classes in summer. So if I kept the same pace, I would have technically graduated, completing 4 classes in fall. It might have been a heroic attempt, but it was a possibility. That's what I was considering. And then, once I completed my 2 full semesters and I tried to apply for an internship somewhere, I realized that, this is a bad time. So I went and talked to my grad advisor, and, she said, push it out. And, so I took what is called as a reduced course load in the fall semester, and I pushed out by 1 semester. Again, no internship, no luck, because again, I was in a very, very peculiar field. I was in communication systems, and anyway, that field is quite narrow. So here I was, no internship, nothing on my way. So again, talked to my grad advisor, what should I do? And I should have graduated in spring of 2009, but then she said, okay, I will let you not graduate by allowing you to keep 1 single unit. So that was my story. So I went over the summer and went into fall 2009. And, still there was no job, nothing on the way, and quite frustrating actually, because everyone around was also equally miserable. However, I drew my inspiration from a couple of friends who were my seniors with whom I used to stay. They graduated almost 1.5 years before I did, and actually managed to stay in the job market without finding anything. I mean, doing unpaid work, just keeping your status, being an international student, just like Ashutosh and Thomas. Uh, so I did the same thing. I graduated, and then I found myself in unpaid internship back in the day, and I just kept on looking. But one good thing that I always believed in was networking. So I have a very interesting story of how I landed my first job in Ericsson. So I was talking to someone in March 2010, and I gave them a copy of my resume. And then of course, I forgot. I had applied to like 100 different positions. Even I went to Bay Area for a month and literally went, resume submitting door to door everywhere you found a company. You could look up on Craigslist. Those were the things that I tried to do. But nothing came up until May 2010, not even a call of an interview. And I was like, okay. And then May onwards, I clearly saw that economy started opening up. At least, people started getting calls. And, a lot of staffing companies also started to call for jobs, potential jobs. And, I got through a couple of interviews back then. And then I was almost ready to go with one staffing company. But when they sent me offer letter, the terms and conditions of job were unreasonable. They were locking me down for 50 grand uh, for a period of 2.5 years, which means, and my bond terms were really, really stringent. I will be tied with them for 2.5 years. And if I actually got out of it, I would be paying $30,000 or $40,000 of penalty. So yeah, that was a real experience. And then I again went and talked to someone at USC, and they said, I don't think you should take this. So I let that job go away. And again, here I was without an offer. And then somehow, somewhere, my resume ended at Ericsson, and it landed in the hands of hiring manager. And I didn't know him, no idea, but he spoke to me, and he said, I have a potential opening. And but he said that I don't think I have budget to sponsor your interviews because you'll have to travel to Dallas. I said, don't worry, I'll come by myself. I'll take that risk. So I came to Dallas, and I interviewed. I was in a pool of 55 students, and they were selecting 3 people. I was not even in the I was not in the direct competition, in the sense that rest of the people were actually interviewing from local universities out in Dallas, and they had actually taken up coursework targeting Ericsson specifically. I, on the other hand, came targeting Qualcomm, for example. All my coursework was much more based on systems. So it was a little bit of a deviation, but I somehow managed to do very good in the interview. And, they said, okay, we will offer you this position. And that's how I got into Ericsson. So, networking really helps. One, just talk to anyone. I mean, it doesn't really matter who you are talking to. I mean, so long as the conversation is reasonable. Alumni, as well as your friends, in good faith and such times, will try and help you. That's what I learned from my experience. And then finally things worked out, and I landed up a job in August 2010, and I moved to Texas. So yeah, that is how different perspectives. This is how I ended up with my job, and I guess the rest of the history. I've been with Ericsson for 10 years now.
Wow. Yeah, these are all like very impressive experience. So I'm just wondering, like, do any of you guys have any questions at this point so far to the students? You can unmute yourself and ask the question, or type it in the chat box.
It would be good if you could moderate, Kathy, because I am logged in from the phone. So if someone types in, it will be hard for me to look at it.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I pre-collect some questions from students who unfortunately might not be able to attend, but just, picking from what you guys just share right now, when you were making a lot of decisions back then, it was a lot of unknown. So you didn't know if the decision you make today is right or wrong. But looking back, like from today, how would you done differently, or what would you have do more, or like better?
So I guess I can speak about my own regrets. So, I spent a lot of time at USA trying to just study mathematics. Basically, communication systems is a lot of mathematics. And in the process, what happened to me was I didn't pick on skills, programming skills, as much as I should have, for example. Not that I didn't know, but I would have probably spent more time doing that. I mean, I learned it hard way. After I got into my job, I had to take something extra to just be on the speed. But yeah, that is one thing. So, really finding your skill set. In my case, if I were to pick that skills, then it would have costed me a lot more money because, I had to take extra classes and so on and so forth. So nowadays, there are a lot of online platforms where you can actually go and learn things. Back in the day, we didn't have anything. So it would be good if you can like audit some classes at USC if you can. If you think you can, at least that will help. That is one thing.
Thank you. Aswash, do you have anything to share or add?
Yeah, I would say looking back, it was, I'm not sure if I could have made any other choices because as you said, choices were limited. The best thing I could bank on was my seniors. If USC is, so your senior network will basically help you. And those guys are the ones who actually recommended me to come to Bay Area. I said, come stay with us, try to look for jobs, see what happens. And that gave me a certain, because otherwise, if you don't have your friends to back you up and your seniors to back you up, for example, to help you out in these situations, it really helped. I would say the seniors really helped out. And I don't know what I would have done differently because I had an internship at Qualcomm. I thought I had done all my best. I got all my skills. In the meantime, while things were bad, I was trying to pick up some other things which are relevant in the industry because having done an internship at Qualcomm, what are the skill sets required, what things you need to improve on, what things will help you in your future. So that did help me. So I used that time a little bit to improve my skills. But yeah, it's very difficult to see what I would have done differently other than move to Bay Area at that point.
So, you need to believe your guts. For example, I
Yeah.
didn't take that contracting gig that was being offered.
Right.
It might have solved my financial views right away, but who knows what career path would I have taken and what would have happened to my immigration status after that. So
Exactly, that
in the
is true.
hindsight, I think I made a right choice.
Right. Similar to Konak, I had a lot of opportunities to switch fields, maybe switch to a software field or things, do something like that. But I actually wanted to work on microprocessors. I had that fixed in mind. I was like, I'll wait till the right opportunity comes along rather than, going into a field and getting stuck in a field which I will not enjoy that much. Maybe it could have helped me financially, but even getting into that field was difficult. You are trying to compete with computer science students if you're trying. So it actually helps if you stick to your field, but if you're good at it, but you can try it out. So
Thomas, what about you?
Yeah, so as Ashutosh and Konak mentioned, I don't think there was any right or wrong decision as such. We pretty much didn't have that many choices.
right.
But yeah, one of the conscious choices I made was to delay graduation, which in hindsight, I don't think made much of a difference. If I had graduated earlier, I wouldn't have known whether I wouldn't know whether I could have found a job or placed myself. But and the other thing was leaving the country and going back home because of visa issues. So that I did see many of my friends go back. So for some reason, I decided to stay stay in the country and somehow get a hang in there, literally. So and that also wasn't in all my friends who went back, they all of them did find good jobs, and many of them are in really good companies. So that really doesn't matter. It's you can go along with the decisions that you make, but stand by them. That's what I would say.
Right. As I think as Thomas said, even going back, it's not going to be a bad decision. The globalization has made the world so short. I see people coming back, just
Right.
after once the economy improves. I see all my few colleagues which are just connecting, They are settled in Europe and in India as well, doing well in high positions at Qualcomm itself. A lot of my friends are in Qualcomm India doing really well. So yeah.
I see.
So I think at this point of time, I mean, we have been in this situation ourselves. So don't look a lot in the news. I mean, job numbers and X percentage of unemployment and so on and so forth. We need to keep in mind that yes, there is high unemployment, but it doesn't impact quite a bit of people who like hold advanced degrees and stuff like that. So it's not like millions of engineers are unemployed, for example. So stay
Yeah.
focused, and things will improve for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I remember even then was, the tech industry is a little more resilient in terms of, job opportunities and, springing back once times are over, as compared to some of the other industries. So as long as you are in engineering and tech, I feel there will be opportunities, and a lot of the work can actually be done remotely or without actually going to your workplace as well. So, so yeah, it wouldn't be as bad, in terms of what you see in the in terms of numbers on, on the different news channels.
I guess it's really hard and it's really a philosophical argument, but try to stay fit and happy because that will help you perform well in the interviews. In my
Absolutely.
opinion, that helped me a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You should, try to keep in your interview preparation, keep doing that. It helps. Once things start coming in, you'll actually feel better once you know that you're prepared well for things.
Yeah. Specifically, mental health can be really challenging to keep good and sound mental health. So focus on that.
Then I actually want to also hope that Thomas and Ashish can elaborate. You both mentioned that you went back and worked with a professor. So let's say if a student today want to explore that option, like how was it done? And then like what makes you know of that possibility, or like even the opportunity?
Thomas, you
Before
go
you
ahead.
even go to that question, Kathy,
I'm sorry.
before you even go to that question, I should say that is not, unfortunately, that is not as relevant in today's times because USCIS has changed the terms and conditions of someone being employed on what is called as an optional practical training.
Got it. Okay.
So just keep that in mind.
I see.
Right, but even assuming it's feasible, what I did was in that one of the semesters I had taken Professor Puada's course on digital system design, I believe, EE 560. That was in the previous summer, and after that, I was going to many of the professors and just talking to them about helping out with anything that they might have. And it basically involves, you have to go talk to them and find out if they can offer any, or if you can offer any sort of help on anything that they have, any of the assignments or projects, or, it doesn't have to be like something that pays, even, just helping out. And that actually helped in the sense that, it would really strengthen your relationship with the professor. And of course, you develop great relationships as well. Networking is also important. So that way, if you look at it, it's always a good thing, even if it's not paid or anything.
Yeah, I think similar to what Thomas said, I actually approached various professors from our electrical engineering department, and basically told them that this is the thing that I just need to stay relevant in the field. I just need to do something to keep my mind active, and help out and learn in the process, because everything you do, you learn, gain a lot of things out of it. And it actually helped a lot. So if a professor is willing, or if it allows as per the visas, I don't know what's the new rules, but if it's possible, then you should approach your professors to see if they can have a relevant.
Yeah, I know the school is planning something over the summer for the student who couldn't travel back to their own country because we don't know what's going to happen if they are not able to come back or anything, but they're coming up with some research opportunity.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to do actually. When anyone who can grab any opportunity from USC, given that the alumni network is really strong, I would really focus on that.
And I mean, before I jump into another question I have, I want to see, if the student currently on the call has any question or any points you want the speaker to elaborate. Don't be shy. Anyone? Okay, then I'm just gonna jump into my next question. I know for people who are still in school or about to graduate, they understand that grade is very important for your first job. But given that what is going on right now, a lot of students are not adjusting very well, study from home. Either it's due to technical difficulty or, just not being able to be in a right mindset to do that. Like, if students were really stressing out about how their grades are today, like what kind of advice would you share with them?
So once you come in the industry, no one is ever going to ask your GPA, but that is, that matters a lot when you get your first job. So, so long as you are, you're doing good, if you screw up one subject or so, it won't really matter as much. And if you're graduating, you already know where you are going to be. So it's not going to make a leap, and it's not going to be like, it's not going to turn upside down in by like a couple of grades.
Mm-hmm.
So as Konak said, your GPA sometimes matter for the first job, not always. Your work experience will also count a lot. However, I've seen situations, I myself experienced that, where some companies was sticking to the point that they wanted a person with 3.7 GPA, for example, and I was at 3.5, and I was like, okay. So it's not very frequent. I've seen it only with one company, and I've given interviews for almost 50 companies, so 50 to 60. So it's very rare. As long as you are in the 3.5 or 3.2, 3.3, it's fine. If you are above 3.5, anywhere they will not ask you anything. It will be just based on what your knowledge and your work experience.
Okay. Yeah. Thomas?
Yeah, I don't think grades or the GPA actually came up in any of the interview conversation. And honestly, from what I think, it's basically if you can answer all their questions and talk to your resume, they're probably not going to pay that much of attention to the grade. That's my take on that.
Yeah, I think I can elaborate. So I didn't have a very great GPA. I think I was 3.2 something, I guess. Yes. And I was competing for this job at Ericsson with people who were 4.0 right out. They were so proud of it. The day of the interview, I think quite a bit of us seaters, we had chance to interact with each other. And quite a bit of them are actually 4.0, and you could see the grin on the face, and I was the one who landed the job. So, I mean, it really matters. I mean, it really is a function of, what you do within that close confined area for half an hour.
Exactly. I think those 6 hours or 8 hours that interview day, it's your knowledge which matters at that point. And how you speak.
Agree.
Because again, when someone asks you a GPA, I mean, 3.2 at X school versus 3.9 at Y school, I mean, there are a lot of variables, and people understand that in the industry.
Mm-hmm. So with the experience, because, I guess before experiencing the 2008 financial crisis, you both, you all probably grew up in a very, I mean, I can't speak for all, but you know, like you have not personally experienced something as big. So what kind of mindset that helps you prepare for the next crisis? Because it's just like how people say, people who experience Great Depression, the way they spend money or the way they live their life has forever been changed. So what kind of mindset have you come out from that 2008 financial crisis with all the things that you've been through?
So it is one very humbling experience. You know, if you are flying on cloud nine, it can humble you overnight. One. Second, it keeps you ungrounded for sure. You do realize that. And third is, it helps create that singularity of thought in the mind. What really matters and what should be the focus. I can speak on third one specifically because even I was under a lot of pressure to move back to my home country when I graduated after like at least 3-4 months because I was in a different country. My family was not okay with it. They said, okay, come back. And I knew that I had a pile of debt on my head. If I went back in that condition, I would have sacrificed 3 or 4 years of my life. And I didn't want to do that. So I stuck around and I stuck by my decision. I said, okay, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to be okay. And, it turned out fine.
Good. Yeah.
So,
sorry.
yes, yeah, good. So yeah, as Konak said, it is a very humbling experience. It actually teaches you to be on your toes quite a while. It helps you to be better prepared. I would say just coming out from the experience, it just it develops a character in you. For example, in my sense, similar to Konak, I stuck to my decision. I wanted to go into microprocessor field. I knew I didn't want to do software background, and I knew going back in India, not much microprocessor work is done. So I wanted to be in microprocessor, which I think most of the work is done in the US. So that was one of the main reasons for me to stick around, to say, okay, it's very difficult to find that job relevant in India, and that was one of my reason to sticking back. And the other humbling experience I would say is it has given me it has given me some sort. It helps you to save your savings, or basically what you do with your financials. It helps you in financial planning, and because those I knew the internship money which I earned over the 4 months, I have to last it for the next 12 months or whatever time frame which I have to stay in the US, right? So it gives you it teaches you a lot of finance. It makes you financially independent, teaches you financial knowledge, how to save money, how to use the money wisely. And it has helped me over this 10 years.
Yeah, and to add to that, what I would say is, anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
So, once you're out of this, and once you're, once you have found a job and stay on a steady path, I think you have the confidence to face anything that comes in your way. And basically, it definitely makes you sensitive to some aspects, like, you always keep your eye out for when is the next recession coming, kind of thing. So that also helps you in preparing. And, as Ashutosh pointed out, it makes you or forces you to plan your financials a little better, and plan for the eventualities. Yeah.
Wow, I think I kind of run out of the questions that I have prepared. But yeah, I think definitely this is all like really good advice, because for the student right now, they are in the middle of it. So it's really hard for them to look at things from a bigger picture, like how their life, 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, when they look back, this is all gonna be so, it's just gonna be, like an experience that will shape them to who they are. And also, I think like perhaps the world works a little differently today, because I think things are changing, very quickly. Like a lot of like I know a lot of students their plan was to work at, even with a like an EE background, their goal was to work at a tech company, like the startups. That's like the big thing today. But actually, a lot of startups are the ones that get impacted the most, like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, and of course, like Facebook is doing really well, and a lot of companies are still hiring. So, how do you like tell students to like diverge that energy? Like probably like you mentioned earlier, don't focus on the negativity, but look for the positive aspect of things and all that. But just like if someone is just freaking out on job search, what can you share?
So you must accept what you cannot change. You must accept it wholeheartedly, and that helps. So you can freak out as much as you want, but that won't change a thing.
That's true.
That's the fact. That's a fact. Just it's like someone is trying to hit you against the wall. You just have to take it.
And I'm pretty sure, just from our experiences, things will improve. You need to stick to it. Whatever decision you make, just stick to it, and be happy with that decision. Don't. In retrospect, everything will work out fine. You have got an awesome degree from USC. Things are now globalized to a point that we actually hired a lot of people just from India or from China. When I started at Samsung, so I started in Samsung in 2012. Samsung had just started a new plant a new R&D division in Austin, and they actually hired a lot of people just from India because they just couldn't find people with those backgrounds here. Sometimes that happens, and these were the people who had gone back after studying in the US, and they were working in a lot of Indian multinational companies. So it just depends. Just stick to your decision, and things will improve for sure.
Right. Yeah. And a couple of other things that wasn't there, 10 years back, looking back, you can take courses on, at USC, audit USC courses at USC, that was there even then. But today we have a lot of these online courses as well. So, improving your marketability and your knowledge is always something that will always help. And yeah, so basically attending all those attending courses that you can use or develop your skill set in that direction.
And as far as wait, okay, so I have a question. Let me just go. So a lot of students that I heard today is when they go to career fair, they don't feel like they even have their fair chance to talk to the company because the line is just, like crazy. And you both mentioned, using your network. What do you mean by network? Is it like alum or, like your friend or like what kind of network?
So combination of everything: alumnus, friends, perhaps some professional relationship if you are active in some social charitable organizations, anything, because at the end of the day everyone works in some sorts of industry, right? So yeah, anything that comes your way basically.
Yeah, your alumni, your friends, networks. So you can also share your, sometimes I know it's not very frequent, not many people do that. Yeah, but if you have got internship experiences and maybe, so you already have contacts in the companies, and you can always check back with them. That's what I kept trying. Once my Qualcomm internship got over, I'm still in touch with my old manager there, and he actually helped a lot to focus my energy and say, okay, what to concentrate on. He also kept me advising where to apply, what to do. So things like that will help you. Yep.
Yeah, and to add to that, so recently I had to go through some of this again because my wife also graduated recently, not from USC but from a different university, and she was trying to find a job as well. So the usual approach is, career fair and applying on the website and waiting for a call. That wasn't working out. So finally, we ended up taking, like a LinkedIn premium, and then with LinkedIn premium, you can actually mail or message people who are not on your friends list. And if you write a good mail and convince them like why you would want to work there and what you have to contribute, many of them actually reply back and respond back. So that's how my wife actually found a job recently too.
So
So
I agree.
have any?
LinkedIn, yeah, LinkedIn Premium is a worth investment. Yes, I agree.
Yes, yeah. Although
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
paid, yeah, but it still helps in my opinion. Uh,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
and then of course, all the contacts that you can gather, you can mail them on LinkedIn and kind of get help,
Mhm.
seek help, I would say, at all sites.
Definitely. I do have a question that came in to ask you guys, what do you think about the present situation, with the COVID-19 in the industry, and how was it is it comparable to the 2008 or 2009 scenario?
We'll probably get to know more about it in the end of Q2 when everyone starts
Right.
to report their Q2 results. It's too early to say what is an impact on tech.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I think what Konark said. Currently, till Q2 will not know what is the current impact. Till now, the Q1 financials, everyone, which company reports are doing just fine. So
Right.
it's the second quarter which we'll see what the impact is. From what I've heard from Qualcomm, what they have said is yes, they're gonna be a hiring they're gonna be on a hiring slowdown for the next 3-4 months, but they are also looking at the future. So if there are certain critical sets which they are looking at, but the problem in this situation, what happens is a lot of experienced folks get the priority, and that in these situations, and that is gonna be a fact. So.
Yeah, that is one downside of having an economic downturn is there is a lot of folks who lost their jobs. So you have to compete with the
Right,
likes of people who are trying to even go for a job that doesn't suit their status or what they would usually, take
right,
in a good time.
right. So yeah, you will be competing with experience a little bit. Yes, that is going to be a fact for the next 3, 4, 5 months.
So I know, like with some big tech company, they usually have like a program for for fresh grad. So do
Right.
you think in a financial situation like this, that kind of program wouldn't be protected?
It's true to an extent, yes. I mean,
Yes.
I've been associated with many of those programs that you speak, and we hire a lot of students locally from Dallas. So we know for a fact that there has been some activity where offers were rescinded and internship programs were cancelled. Quite simply so because every company tries to protect doesn't want to lay off people as much as so they can they would hire less. So that is given. So this is the time where you really focus on skills and stuff like that. Don't worry about what companies do. They have to come back at the end of the day and hire someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think similar to what Konark said. Yeah, they are protected. Because I know we have a summer internship still going on, but I don't know of the next fall, or we have not decided on what's going to happen.
Yeah, and at any point, companies need good talent, and they from when I was on the other side, when I was looking for jobs, I was thinking, why are companies not coming to us and not hiring? But on the other side, when you look at things, there is always a shortage of good talented people who you want to hire. So bottom line is companies do need people. So reach out to them if they are kind of not responding to your queries or online applications. So that's what I would say.
So as I said, I mean, really pick up a new skill that you can put on your resume and you can defend. That's the way out of this. Maybe the 3-4 months things will be bad before they get better. I don't know the timeline. I'm thinking so, but they will get better at one point somewhere down the line. So just stick around.
Awesome. Yeah, this is very helpful. Well, we are like 5 minutes to 5, so I guess I'm just gonna ask the panelists to just share your last word with the students before we end.
Stay safe and stay happy, and stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't lose hope. Just as we said, we try to pick up a good skill. Keep on applying. That's what you have to do anyways. See if you can get any opportunities to work with professors or even small internships. These teach you a lot. I actually gained a lot of knowledge with the internship that I had. So it doesn't matter if you think you can financially take a hit for 3-4 months, then even an unpaid internship will help you a lot.
Yeah, and I would say just keep working at it, never give up, stay positive. That's the only thing that brought me out of that 2008-9 situation.
Right.
There are a lot of companies that are still hiring. I know our company is hiring, so just keep looking for all the opportunities.
Yeah, I think with all the technology today, it makes people it makes the communication between people so easy, but then it lost the human part of it. And I think being able to just go back and touch base with the fundamental, is very important right now, because I think students can read 10 different articles online and to see how to get out of this, but it is never as impactful or as helpful, just to be able to hear and then with actual interaction with all you guys. And this is really great, and I, on behalf of the students, I really thank you guys for taking your busy time and do this and be able to share, and hopefully students will 5 or 10 years later, they will be able to do this with whatever crisis we're in later on,
Right.
to the current students. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
there is always some light at the end of the tunnel, so don't lose hope.
Yes.
Do not ever lose hope. Stick around no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time today, and again, thank you, and hopefully this will be the opportunity for you guys to just continue to keep in touch with us, and share information and share knowledge, or if you ever think of anything that the school can do, or the student today can do, definitely let us know.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank
All
you.
right, Kathy, thank you for your time, and I wish good luck to everyone.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Yes.
Ready?
Good luck, everybody. Yep. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Mm.